discuss it live.
What is the line we draw on cables on the front of a bike?
I don't know.
Because if you're going to complain about twin lock, which is 2 additional cables, too,
Yeah.
do you then have to complain about a derailleur cable?
What? How many
That's
cables?
part of the argument for electronic shifting. Is you take off the front of the cable, the bike looks cleaner up front. So if that's the argument for that, do we?
I don't want lockout on my bike. Period.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't have.
I don't like lockout is you can't stop and go.
I've owned the Scots with it, and I can see where certain people like it, especially if you're more in a pedaling mindset. I always took the lockout off the fork because I don't need a lockout on the fork. But the rear shock, because it had 3 settings, it had open, middle compression, shorter compression, and then the mostly locked out one. And so putting it in the middle definitely made it pedal better because it's just a basic single pivot bike.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, it's just a compression setting. Well, if you're just joining us, we're discussing false innovation in the cycling industry. This is a passionate topic amongst us, the cycling employees.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to be here every Tuesday till the end of time, complaining about the bike industry, the industry we love and hate at the same time.
At the same time.
We love riding, but the bull poo-poo, gets tough sometimes.
This conversation's going to be hard to go the whole conversation without saying the bull poo-poo word.
Yeah.
Which we won't do because we're good Christian boys.
Yeah. We're gentlemen. So we, one of the things is I want to make sure that by the end of this video and future videos, I can't get a job in the bike industry. I do not want to be hired in the bike industry. I want to make that clear.
Seems to be. I guess I'm part of this.
Yeah.
I can only hire myself from here on out.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
But you don't plan on carrying Trek Specialized Giant or Motobacon.
None of them have come up with cool enough names for anything for me yet.
Motobacon?
I have high standards.
Motobacon?
If you can say Moto Bacon too easily,
Motobacon,
then it's a no.
I fell on my bike the other week and I got some Moto Bacon on my elbow. I call that the Moto Bacon. So if you're joining us, we are talking about false innovation in the cycling industry. Part of this is just stuff that doesn't work, but part of it is also the marketing jargon that doesn't mean anything.
Yes. Two ways the industry, and whenever we say the industry this whole night, we're going to have to put a scowl on it, the industry.
It's like the empire.
Yeah, exactly. The industry is trying they're trying to sneak into your wallet. Take those precious little dollars out and keep them for themselves is what they want. But yes, so they're trying to innovate because they think innovate's what makes you buy. And they'll innovate. We narrowed it down to 2 kinds of innovation.
False innovation.
False innovation, and the first, and some things are both, but one's just in nomenclature. It's how they name things, what they call things. They'll give something the same that they've made forever and give it a quirky little new name or an acronym.
Yeah.
And then call that, and then be like, "Yeah, buy this now," or they'll create something new, and that may or may not actually be new or helpful.
And if you put it in a bold font, like a nice bold font, and say innovative,
yes,
and then send it out to all the websites, I think you'll be more innovative. Is the point?
Yeah, you get to put industry innovator in your LinkedIn profile.
Yes. Yes.
I haven't been able to do that. I haven't innovated yet.
Thought provider.
I'm trying.
Or thought innovator.
Yeah.
Of the newspeak.
Yep.
So right out of the gate, I want to go after one of the big boys.
One of our favorites.
One of the biggest ones who's brought you innovative things like direct drive, because I've been driving indirect bikes my whole life.
Well, it's all we had as kids were indirectly driven bicycles.
Yeah, you had to push something else, and then it pushed, and it wasn't very direct,
and
so you didn't get anywhere on your bicycle.
Passive aggressive is what it was.
It's passive aggressive pedaling. Direct drive.
Yep.
Future Shock and Fact Carbon Technology,
Yeah.
which isn't a technology.
So let's see. Does anybody know what we're talking about?
Who-
What brand? What brand? What brand?
What brand has brought us Future Shock?
Future Shock. Fact. And if you know Future Shock rear, by its most common letters, FSR,
FSR. Come
You
on,
know.
guys.
we're talking about the big S.
Ooh, direct drive, me off. Marketing,
Recipe.
peace pipe, direct drive. So, yeah, on, but nobody's megalized. Oh, Kyle, welcome to the live stream. Yes, Kyle from Tennessee, thank you. Cameron, I love you. Bluetooth brakes, what do we got here? Goodness, okay, so I'm talking about Specialized. Specialized is the king of jargon, marketing jargon, carbon technology. Fact, it's
Putting it all over their frames in big letters for years.
Let's not
They've gotten away. In fairness, in the last couple of years, them and all the other brands have gotten away from putting 15 logos on their bikes, as well as all these other monikers.
It's NASCAR, man.
But
So FACT stands for Functional Advanced Carbon Technology, which means I'm not saying that their bikes aren't
I get it.
good, but I'm also saying, like, what does that mean? But it's so secret they can't tell you because it's Functional Advanced Carbon Technology. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, at least the Zerts, that at least somewhat means something, but it's also
What does
marketing.
Zerts mean?
Zerts is the guy who invented the little, so on Specialized road bikes, they have these little rubber bumpers.
Yeah, I don't think they do it anymore, but
They used to, which was supposed to divide the vibration. And so it goes around it. But they were called Zerts. But another thing that they did for years. And so all Specialized stuff had little carbon, like
it was
carbon
all on
with
the, It was
rubber.
all on the Roubaix, right? I'm bringing up the
I
Roubaix.
came up with a couple different ones. But
I don't see it on the Roubaix anymore.
But I mean, there have also been. I poked around the Specialized site, and you can go to the Specialized site and see as
Yeah.
well. But one of the interesting things is Specialized makes a onesie baggy romper that is short sleeved
Yeah, for romping around the trails.
and shorts.
Or your local
A onesie,
coffee shop.
adult onesie for your Tesla. You drive your Tesla in your adult onesie.
Which Tesla model would you need to be driving? I have no idea. There's
Dude, you're in a Model Y.
the one
for
with
sure.
the airplane wings.
X. You're right, Model X.
Okay.
Yep, because that's Elon Musk's favorite letter. X.
Everybody's got to have a favorite letter. So yes,
Oh.
if you buy a Specialized SL8 and spend $12,000 or $14,000, whatever it is, you get Fact Carbon,
Fact.
and that's a fact that you get
very
that
factual.
carbon. Oh yeah, they have wind tunnel.
Ooh.
Wind is spelled W-I-N, not wind.
Oh.
It is a wind tunnel. They made a wind tunnel. But now anything that they made in the wind tunnel gets wind tunnel technology applied to it. Innovation.
I'd like to say hey to Traction Coffee Roasters, making excellent coffee for over 37 years.
Helping
in-
us keep the rubber side down.
Yeah, in the Greater Lyons area.
Wonderful.
I love doing the shout outs. So yeah, but you know, other brands at least have, like Santa Cruz has VPP. It's virtual pivot,
Okay.
pivot point. That's
So
actually
not,
something.
Not false innovation. Innovation.
Yeah, definitely an
What
innovative.
it is real. Okay. What about Giant? Giant has a little something called Overdrive Aero. You with me?
If you if you go to the Giant site, they have they may be right up there with Specialized. With please tell us again.
So Giant Overdrive Aero. Overdrive just means they made their steer tube 1.25 inches in diameter rather than 1.1 inches up at the top where the stem clamps it. I don't know why. They'll give you reasons. You don't need to waste your time listening to them. It's just if if you want their product, you have to have this thing, and it means you have to use their stems or use a spacer. And that's what it comes down to. But you get to read giant overdrive on your product stuff when you buy the bike.
And they did a really cool thing where they make the fonts and letters, like they use a little lighter weight font and make it a little bit smaller so it kind of fits together with a little graphic.
Let me ask you something.
And for me, I'm like, that's a pretty cool technology.
Nick, do we have anything we need to address? Where's the fat carbon?
Kyle, Cybertruck. Yeah, we're getting to that.
I mean,
Fact me.
from the future. Nick, can you think of ever purchasing a product with some sort of desire for the innovative thing that they're selling?
I would say GT triple triangle
Okay, yeah.
of stiffness. Like
Yeah.
back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Ooh, that's probably a good example. Triple triangle, definitely. We all remember it if we've been around for a minute, and we know what it is. It's where they. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't, look it up, Google it. I'm not gonna explain it because I'm not good at explaining.
GT triple triangle, dude. Hardtail.
Simple, but I wanted it.
Yeah.
My older brother had it, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah. I mean,
That's what I wanted.
GT was the brand. Like back in the day,
sure.
the GT Mach 1 BMX bike, the Interceptor, like those were like, I'd get BMX Plus, the worst BMX magazine ever made. And I would flip through it and be like, oh, I'm going to get a GT. I'm going to get myself an Interceptor with a gyro and do some tail whips and some bar spinners.
Did you?
I never got a GT Interceptor. My friend did though.
I never got a GT at all. Never had a triple triangle. But I do remember being kind of like you, being young. And when I bought my first mountain bike, I think I was 12. It actually came from Toys R Us. But it was a mountain bike. It was a Pacific Cycles Rock Stomper. It was a Rock Stomper. But I remember I had memorized, I don't remember it all now, all of the little names of everything that was on the bike because I thought it like made it cool. Like I remember the brakes were the Alivio CT90s. Remember the ones with the little plastic ring that kept breaking and Shimano was replacing them for free for like 20 years?
We had the box.
Yeah, it had those brakes, but like I remember that, and I remember sort of memorizing all those little names. If my bike had had more little names for all the things, I probably would have valued it even more. Which I guess is just to say that false innovation is appealing to children.
Yeah,
not grown-ups.
I mean, Haro was the first new bike I bought. I had a Haro Supra before it was the Nyquist back trail. Okay. I had, I rode that bike for several years. Before that, it was a Haro Cosmo. Back then, they did balloon letter font, and that was really cool. And huge steel tubing, and huge dropouts that were 8 millimeters thick. And I was like, this bike is meant to thrash.
All right. Tim wants the juiciness from us.
Okay.
He wants to know, what do you think has the best or worst marketing of the last year? What companies?
I think Trek is honestly the best. The only thing I would change about Trek is I wish they would call their mountain bikes F-150, and their road bikes, I wish they would... I
mean, as a Wisconsin company, there's got to be some variation of John Deere nomenclature. I don't know John Deere products, but if I would know it better if Trek named their bikes similarly.
I think we should split it down the middle, Ford and Chevy, so Corvette for the road bikes.
Like that, though. I guess I would.
What's another iconic American brand? Because Trek is the like iconic American bike brand.
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah, Trek and
on the big
Specialized
scale.
both, sure. Trek and Specialized, I would say both.
I think Trek is more all-American.
Okay.
I think
You
it's apple pie and
I
cheddar.
think.
Yeah.
All right.
Specialized is 100% tech, bro. Okay. They're
Trek
they're-
is barn. Oh, they started out in that red barn.
Yep, Red Barn, all-American.
Specialized is like first mountain
Specialized
bike.
is definitely marketing towards the Apple Tesla driver that's of this generation.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 80s it was stock dealing BMW drivers that drank Perrier.
I don't know who's done it. I think he's asking good and bad marketing. I haven't paid attention a whole lot to new stuff in the last year just because like I don't need to worry about it. So that'll change coming up with this year with these shows. I'm paying a lot more attention to the stuff that companies are doing. And I did try to go through the back, like a chunk of the last year of just like headlines from like Bike Rumor and some others and stuff like that. And I mean, honestly, nothing stood out as being very interesting. So maybe they're all bad and good at it at the same time.
I think the landscape of marketing products has changed with YouTube and content creation, where back in the day, in the 1960s, you had to have this amazing tagline and some image, and it said innovative, and you had to get your point across in 7 words or less. There's all these marketing things that companies are still kind of trying to do, but it doesn't work. People, as they get older, become immune to it. You grow up and you're like, can I ride a bike? Like, can it get me from point A to point B? I want to do races on the weekends. And so, for me, best and worst, I would say companies that are actually making content around what people are doing and showing what it is.
Yeah.
Like, follow some adventure riders, and just show what the product does. And we'll go on the website and look up if it's good or not. Like if it has the parts we want. I think a big thing is bikes are really good, and bike components are really good.
Sure. They've all gotten so well, it's getting harder to kind of make some of the differentiations. And I think if you start looking at them, you'll realize that the similarities are becoming a lot closer. Just in terms of like, we know more or less now a lot what it takes to have like geometry for trail riding, right? And enduro riding and shock setups. Like it's a thing, and probably maybe we could have this conversation with Johnny next week, but probably I would say in terms of, this would probably be industry-wide, not from a company, but probably one of the biggest marketing things I've seen in the last year is in mountain bikes, everything moving to high pivots. Not everything, but like the high pivot mountain bikes are getting like the marketing or the innovation buzz.
Let's take it back to the Santa Cruz Bullet.
Right, but it doesn't have an idler. Never did.
Never did. It didn't have to because it was a 26-inch wheel.
Well, fair.
This is going to segue into our next thing.
Yeah. All right, let's get on beyond companies because I didn't do too much research into researching and reading marketing BS from companies is not a fun time for me. I tried to do some, and it was definitely some weeds. So let's talk about stuff we know more about.
But if you want to hire me to come up with some jargon, I'm available.
You can come up with all sorts of acronyms.
Yeah,
Ah,
I get
great.
an acronym. ASS, we could do that. So what do you think?
American Suspension
Society.
Synergetics.
I love it.
I got it.
Synergetics.
I was just looking at.
Let's just riff off
I was just looking at my
synergetics.
stuff on the wall. Probably one of the worst, in my opinion, marketing. But is it worst or is it best? Is Yeti when they went to SB. Do you know what SB stands for from Yeti? Because all their bikes are SB 120.
Super
SB,
bomb, dog.
Super bike.
I was close.
You were so close. You were so close. It needed, like if they had done Super Bomb, I would have given them a little bit more respect. But like they just went Super Bike, and now everything is Super Bike 120. 115, 120, 130, like all the way up. And
Because at least if you're making fun of it,
sure,
then it's like
they're
calling
not.
it out. Like, dude, we make this. It's
They're
good.
not.
It's super bomb, dog. Come check it out.
Probably the company that's best at recognizing their own marketing is Transition.
Yeah.
So
Like, if it's a decent technology and you can explain it simply.
yeah, but they'll come up with like when they came up with the tubes and tubes technology, they knew what they were calling it. So
Yeah.
and it was also a real technology. It lets you run your cables through the bike real easy.
Tubes and tubes.
So
So our next, I'm going to get
right.
some flack for this, but I think one false innovation of the industry has to be, can I get a drum roll? $27.5.
what?
I pulled that out of my hat.
That's
$27.5.
so old though, man. That's like 10 years ago.
Well, the crazy thing is the first company to
Haven't we bought into it at this point?
We have to do it.
Well, sure.
But Kyle said 26. I missed 26. So, or not Kyle, Tim.
Yeah.
I missed 26. And 27 doesn't get us that much. What does 27.5 get us? And I also want to say the first company to make a 27.5 mountain bike, guess who it was? So, like a mass-produced, somewhat mass-produced.
27.5 mountain bike?
Yep.
I don't know. Giant. Specialized, Trek.
No,
none of the big
none
ones.
of them were
Marin.
doing it. Jameis.
James. Oh, that's right. I do remember that. They were big on it right away. Yep.
An innovator in the industry. The first company, Jameis, came out with 27.5.
Yeah.
And we wrote it, and we were like...
Because weren't they one of the ones to really push the 27.5 naming over 650B?
Yes.
Okay.
And we...
Kyle's all over it.
Jameis, and we got demo bikes at the shop at Salvagetti.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle. We got demo bikes and rode them, and we're like, meh. Like,
What is
26, 27.5.
Who cares? Yeah.
We're like, it was funny because we were like, this isn't anything special now. You go to 29, and
Whole
huge
different
difference.
Whole different
That's a
ballgame.
much larger wheel.
Well, so then why don't you just, yes, agreed. 26, 29, the wheel sizes is like clearly different, both visually and just in terms of how the bike rides and how you need to make the bike around the wheel. Totally different.
Yeah.
What if you put a 29-inch wheel on the front and a 26-inch wheel on the back?
Are we segueing?
Just asking questions.
I think that was done by a bike called the Specialized Bigot.
No.
I mean, Big Hit.
That was done by a company called Trek Bicycles with the 69er.
Dude, the Big Hit was like 5-6 years. It was 26, 24.
Oh, well, yeah, they did. That's right. They did that. I thought we were talking specifically 29, 26.
No,
But
I'm taking it old school.
All the way back to like 2, 3.
Tiny little
Yeah,
wheel. It was almost a
24.
BMX wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, technically it was
It
a
was
BMX
supposed to be
wheel.
stronger, right? Because it was also small.
For the big hits.
Yeah, you could.
I threw you on a loop on that one.
You did. It's making my head spin, baby.
Comes back to Specialized. In some ways, very innovative. In other ways,
Always specialized in Trek, man.
oh snap. He forgot about the 69er. Trek.
I didn't forget about the 69er. They had a single speed and a short travel kind of race bike, 100 mil XC bike. It was actually pretty fun to ride. That 29 the single speed was the like whole Travis Brown thing. It had that Maverick fork on it.
True mullet. That's a sensitive. You'll trigger Jason if you say mullet.
We don't use mullet. We don't use mullet in this house.
Yeah, we get our hair cut.
We'll move on. We'll move on. That's actually where we're going next. Okay, so yeah, 29 we agree was a real innovation, demonstrably beneficial. Bring it on, great. 27.5 we can argue about all day. It happened. It was gonna happen. Who cares? Like you can flip a coin, I think, in my opinion, on 26 and 27.5, land either way, and you're gonna be fine, right?
I just want to know. I wanted to be there at the meeting where all the bike industry people got together and said, "Hey guys, we're just gonna do this, and all of our bikes are gonna be 27.5." Like, because it was like.
Except for Niner, who was like, we're the outliers. We're Niner only. And then now everybody's 29er and they have no like identity. So
yeah, it's
Sorry,
like, oh, you just make bikes now?
I've crapped on Niner every episode, I think.
Well, they moved to Ohio, so.
They're also
You know what Ohio's known for?
29er necessary terrain for bicycles.
I think Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
The Drew Carey Show.
The sitcom, correct.
Sitcom, yeah. And I think they have like a really big amusement park.
And college football.
Football.
Yeah.
But Ohio is not known for mountains.
No, but anyway, Niner can... I wish him well in Ohio. But
Yeah, do well in Ohio. You got Ray's Mountain Bike Park.
So 27.5, 29, great. What happens if you put 27.5 on the back and 29 on the front of a mountain bike? What do we end up with?
2 different tube
A
sizes.
bike, yes, but who cares? Because you can put the
They're
27.5 in either one. It doesn't matter. You just have a bike with a mixed wheel size. But everybody wants to call it a mullet, and I think the word mullet for that is stupid and dumb and doesn't actually describe it. And I think that in itself is false innovation, trying to sell you on the idea of something being ostensibly cool without any sort of way to back that up.
Well, if it was
Because it's like you want to assume that any guy with a mullet, like you just want to assume he's cool. But a lot of times maybe he's just not. And
Now-
they're trying to play off of that with by calling it a bike with mixed wheel sizes a mullet, and I don't buy it. I'm not using it. It's a mixed wheel. It's fine, but
mixed wheel.
who cares? I care apparently. I'm the only one.
Now, you did bring up a point. We did our pre-show talk. And now, wouldn't a mullet be considered if the back wheel was big and the front wheel was small? Because it's short up front, party in back. So wouldn't it be more like a drag racer?
That would have to be the real way to do a mullet.
Yeah.
If you were going to actually follow the rules of a mullet, which is shorter in the front, longer in the back, you'd have to go... You'd even have to go like a short travel fork and a longer travel. Is mullet apply to travel or just wheels? I don't know. I don't know the rules. But I think if we just pitch the whole idea, it solves all the concern.
Yeah.
Mixed wheel question mark.
Mixed
I
wheel.
don't have a better name yet. I just don't want to use mullet. Sorry. I hate it.
I don't love it. It's just what has been said.
A bike with 2 different wheel sizes. Okay.
Mixed wheel.
Now, I have to be honest because
But is it innovative?
I mean, it's different. I don't know all the dictionary definitions of the word innovative. So, like, if it's not been done and it's being done, I think that's in some way innovative. So perhaps, I think maybe we're getting past the point. Now, he says business is 29 and party is 26. Well, yes.
Yeah.
Mullet.
And we're going to have Tim
But-
on the show soon.
Yeah, we're going to have Tim on, but I have to disagree because that assumes that 29 isn't party.
You can party on a 29.
So
You can party.
you absolutely can party on 29 because we've been partying 29 since 2009.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So
Where did we?
I'm not going to win this argument. I realize that.
Mixed wheel.
Mixed wheel. No, I do have to make a public confession that I just purchased a frame to ride a mixed wheel bike. So I just purchased, because of our first show on everything in the bike industry is super cheap, I discovered that Jensen, the website, had the Specialized Status frame set for $750.
Full suspension.
Full Full suspension with a float DPX2 rear shock, $750. It was like $762 or whatever, shipped to my door. So I bought one. I'm gonna build it up, and I'm gonna try this mullet. I'm gonna grow a mullet, and I'm gonna ride a mullet, and I'm gonna be mullet guy in 2023.
Now, are you gonna embrace the lifestyle, or are you just getting a mullet?
What's the like?
Is that ironic mullet? Like ironic hipster mullet?
I don't know. What's the like? How many cigarettes do I have to smoke to be embracing the lifestyle? What's the? Because I'm currently a 0 cigarette kind of person.
It's only 1 cigarette, but you have to have at least 3 of your friends catch you smoking it.
Separate times, same time.
Separate times. You can light it, relight it. You just have to be caught smoking it and looking really cool with your mullet. Should we segue into the next? Don't want to cut you off.
What is the best semantic versus actual innovation? Boy, he's got such good questions, and I'm not ready to think that hard. Best semantics versus actual innovation.
I mean, direct drive.
Well, that's terrible semantics. I mean, almost everything that Specialized puts out is mostly meaningless for their stuff. But they make a good product.
I want to use an acronym, or not an acronym.
Okay.
Because I'm not Specialized.
Ah.
In video production and cinematography,
Okay.
if you can use a picture to describe something,
Okay.
then you use a picture. You don't try to spell it out. What if we just didn't write the words on the bike and you just went out and wrote it and it did what it's supposed to? Versus trying to explain it with a catchphrase.
Yeah, but
Would that be too bland?
I just think that people shopping wouldn't.
Would their brains explode?
I don't think they. I think they wouldn't have the ways to describe it. So
body geometry.
Body geometry. That's Specialized as well. Every one of their names for something doesn't tell you anything about what it is.
It's body geometry, dude.
Body geometry, what?
They make left and right socks. And if you mess it up, you're going to sprain your ankle.
That's too bad.
Body geometry is an excellent one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just we try to make saddles more comfortable. Okay, great. So.
I think Kyle, Surly is not immune. I think they put SST on their stays. The SST stay.
What did that stand for?
I have no idea.
Well, I remember
Surly Steel.
I remember Fatties Fit Fine.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Which just meant that they had ample clearance for fatter tires.
That's what it was. I don't know where I got SST. It came into me.
I don't know.
That
still
was
thinking about
inappropriate.
those Dodge Chargers.
Dude. The Trek Charger, dude.
I don't know what it is.
All I'm saying is American brand Trek Charger.
Trek Charger SST.
That'd be a way better name, the Charger and Challenger, for their road bikes.
So, Kyle, I agree. Kyle was going back here a minute ago about nomenclature on e-bikes for a second. And the SST, all this stuff made me... And he was like, how they have, something X, something Evo, something this or that. I have actually a proposal because I want to see the word Evo completely stricken from the lexicon of all the bike industry.
What does
Somebody
it mean?
please, I don't know, it just means Evo. It's
Enduro,
short for evolution. But no, Cannondale has their whole line called the Evo. Almost every other week, somebody else comes up with some bike that's the whatever model Evo. It doesn't mean, it just means it's the next one or whatever. But
oh, dude,
I'm done with Evo. Evo's out. Please, in 2024, do not buy any product with the word Evo on it.
Yeah, Evo's done.
We have to all join together to let Evo be taken away. We're done with it.
Cindy Lou, who says is 200 millimeters of travel good enough for a pump track. If we come up with a good acronym, put it on a bike, and we sell it, I say we do it.
Ooh, 200 millimeters of travel, enough for a pump track. Yes.
Acronym.
200 millimeters of travel. Let's do some math.
So
100.
Tuvo. What do you think? Is that good?
Hold on. We're 200, but divided by pump track.
Okay. So
200 pump.
TPT.
Toomp.
TPT.
TPT.
That sounds innovative.
2PT. Yeah.
2PT.
2PT.
Yep. There you go.
200 millimeters.
We're
Pump
marketing.
track specific. 2PT technology.
2PT technology. Is it Aero? Does it cut through the air?
Coming at you. Aero is going to come out in our Evo model in 2026. This is how bike companies work.
Yeah. It's literally two guys just hyped up on ibuprofen after New Year's going
Yeah, you're on like
to be, was it
medicine
to be
tonight.
continued?
2PT.
And that's 200 millimeter
200
travels
millimeter
for
pump track specific.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. I think we need to move on to the next subject.
Next subject. Okay. Let's talk about some stuff that came out last year. Because you can talk about brands all day long. But some stuff that came out in the last year in 23. Top of the list is one of the companies with the great acronym, SRAM. SRAM.
What's SRAM an acronym
Well,
for?
it's the first two letters of the guy's last name and the first two letters of the other guy's last name, who started the company a long time ago. I don't remember what their names were, but they put it together and it's SRAM, and here we are. It's SRAM. It's not SRAM. It's not SRAM. It's just SRAM.
I like to add an H. SRAM.
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 An SCH sometimes when I'm feeling extra
SRAM.
German. SRAM.
SRAM. SRAM is SRAM.
Yeah.
SRAM
SRAM.
is a Taiwanese company. They're not German, so don't say SRAM. Okay? Just get that out there. But let's talk about some acronyms.
Well, no,
Now,
we're
wait a
not
second.
talking about acronyms. We're talking about SRAM's new product.
I want to talk about
What? Hold on.
if
Go.
we add one more.
Oh, you're gonna go out of order.
Are we going out of order?
Well, from what I had, but you know what?
No. Let's go with what you had.
Do you remember what SRAM came out with this last year? New shifting.
Is it almost straight edge?
Almost.
Almost. It's
very
almost
close.
straight edge.
It's very close. They came out with new shifting.
Oh, that's next year.
Oh, the straight edge one.
30 speed.
Oh,
All in the rear.
everything's all in the back. SRAM makes drivetrains as part of what they make, and a little while ago they developed electronic shifting for drivetrains, right? And it was wireless, which was a thing that they made.
Yeah.
It was shifting. It was wireless, and you had a battery in the front and a battery in the back, and they connected to each other with robot telepathy. Okay.
Frequencies. I think Nikola Tesla had something
And
to do.
it worked to make your gears go between them. So in 2024, they did it again.
So they already had it once?
But they did it again and made it again, but different. So let's get our let's get everybody to chime in.
What did they change about it?
They did not change the number of gears. They did not change the gear ratios. They changed the shape of the chain, the shape of some of their chainring teeth and cogs, and they changed the shape of the rear derailleur so it no longer requires a separate derailleur hanger on the bicycle. It mounts directly to a very specific design part of the rear end. Do we call them dropouts? That's where the through axle goes through, but I don't know what we call it. Dropout. Anyway,
Call them slide-ins.
it mounts more or less directly to the frame without a derailleur hanger, and it shifts through the gears. It doesn't have the upper pivot that the older system had, and it shifts your gears pretty much the same way. You have to be very, very careful about your chain length, and they claim you are not allowed to use any other chains or chain rings with their stuff.
You can't use the stuff, no.
And apparently it's supposed to be very strong and not easily able to be broken, because that was the whole point before with derailleur hangers was, oh, the derailleur hanger can break if you hit the derailleur on something, and then you don't break your expensive derailleur. And the new ones are designed in such a way that if you hit it hard enough, a part of the derailleur will break, and then the derailleur itself will break, and then you replace that part. But ideally, it's supposed to not break nearly as easily. And I've seen pictures on the internet of people standing on top of this or hitting it with a hammer and it not breaking, and that's...
It makes it great for picnics. If you want to have a picnic on your derailleur.
Sure, if you just need something to sit on.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
throw a tablecloth down, let's party.
Yeah. Wow, we going back up. So, SRAM transmission. It's only a year or so old. Jury's going to be out, but what do we think? False innovation?
I'm borderline, yeah.
It's...
Maybe if they added one more gear.
It'd get us there. It's going to be showing up more and more. It's going to be probably the way things go, at least as far as SRAM is concerned. So it's fine. It's fine. It works. It does what it needs to do. It shifts slower than their previous stuff. But who needs to shift them that fast? Like it's a minor thing. It is stronger. It doesn't break nearly as easily. But if it does break, and I've had to fix several of them, it's more expensive. Like if you've got the XO or higher model and you break the lower cage, it's a $220 part to fix. So it's not nothing.
Yeah, I'm just at this point.
I don't know if I'll call it false innovation. I might at this point still call it unnecessary innovation.
Which I think
is yeah.
It's pretty false. Like I don't want to.
It's not fake. It's not bad. But like I really don't. It's.
I'm pretty much
what it's getting us.
Done with charging batteries. Like I have to charge batteries for everything now.
Sure.
And I have to have apps for everything. And one of the things about for me riding bikes is that it's a simple machine. That there isn't an app, and if something breaks, it's mechanical, and you push a pin or take a bolt off, and it's done.
Right.
And so with I mean, I think it's a cool thing, but for my everyday bike, am I going to go electronic? Probably not.
Probably not.
Nope.
Yeah.
Sign me up for cables.
Well, some of the stuff gets a little harder even on my end as a mechanic. I installed one on a guy's bike a couple weeks ago. Installed it, I set it up and everything. I was like, and told him, hey, you can connect your phone to it and change some of the settings, and there's these things you can do with it. And then he got home and he tried to connect his phone to it, and he couldn't. and so he contacts me, and I'm like, well, sure, I've experienced there's sometimes different sequences of how you connect. You know, it's all Bluetooth stuff. It's like the same thing I do with, you
like, gotta pair
helping the like IT department in my house with my kids. Like, I don't really know anything about Bluetooth technology and wireless technology other than like I've tried a bunch of different things. Like try this.
Did you hit
try
the pairing button?
This order and maybe it'll work. So it's like, I can't always fix it. And he's like, well, get on the internet, and because somebody else is going to say the same thing. And at some point, if you just try it a couple times, maybe pull the battery out, put it back in, it'll work. But who knows? So, transmission, borderline, no.
Ba-ba. What's next on our list?
Well, so SRAM transmission hasn't gotten there yet, but SRAM's been doing this for a minute, which is, innovatively speaking, how many more gears can we keep adding to a bike before it stops being innovative?
One every year, so you have to replace your bike.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Replace the whole bike.
To speak to XX, they did a pretty big push on advertising with that.
Yeah.
And they also did a lot of influencer advertising and definitely pushed out to the world.
It did the big marketing push for their marketing idea.
For it. But does it take a special frame?
It does take
you have to have a frame.
You have to have a frame with a rear derailleur hanger that's called a universal derailleur hanger, which SRAM developed a number of years ago to try to standardize the derailleur hanger interface.
Is that like universal healthcare?
No, I was trying to see if I could come up with a way. It's entirely the opposite because
No, this isn't Canada.
this actually it only works. This is only for the privileged who can afford newer bikes with higher end components. So it's not for everybody.
So when Amazon comes out with healthcare,
We might get an Amazon version of UDH, Universal Derailleur Hanger.
sign me up, Bezos.
Yep.
Next up.
So, how many gears? How many gears are on a mountain bike now?
Well, I think it's like the movie Spinal Tap, where whatever last year it is,
It's got to be
then
one.
it's
one
got to
more.
be one more.
So we're at 12 on mountain bikes now. Road
12.
bikes are mostly on 12 now. Shimano just brought their gravel group GRX to 12 speed. 105's at 12 speed now. Everything below that's still 10 or whatever. One company, Campagnolo, has 13 speed. Well, two, but if we count rotor, but like you have to know. I think you have to know somebody who's riding the rotor component group to be able to count rotor in like an existing component group. So
Is it the hydraulic?
yeah, the hydraulic shifting.
Jesus. Hydraulic shifting, everybody. Did you know it existed? Did anybody watching know that there was hydraulic shifting?
Yes, of course they did. Why
Did
wouldn't
they
be?
know?
No. But theirs was 13. Campagnolo's gravel group Ekar is 13. I think that's it.
13.
13.
Yep. Campagnolo.
So how long before? I mean, it's going to be a minute before Shimano or SRAM move to 13. Do you think they will?
They have to.
I wish we could do like live voting. Airlines. That wasn't hydraulic. It was.
I mean, to
air
stay
powered,
competitive
yeah.
in the market. How are they going to stay competitive in the market
If they don't
with
keep
12
adding.
speeds?
I
Their
do-
racers are going to lose races. Dude, the people are going to stop
true.
buying bikes.
People stop buying bikes.
If
Bikes
you-
will probably start falling apart.
Yeah. People are going to lose their jobs.
I remember being a kid and flipping through, I think some kind of mountain bike magazine in the 90s and seeing a graphic that had a photo or like a drawing and this description that said that Shimano had at that point, so in the middle 90s, a patent for 14 speeds on
Yeah.
the cassette.
That was
And-
like a big bike rumor in the industry.
And I don't know if it's true. But it's crazy enough. That I remember that from that long ago. And I mean, I'm living in the age now where we're at 12. So I thought 14 was impossible because at that point we were like maybe at 9.
9 just happened and we liked it.
Yeah, 9 was happening. 9 was mega.
Yeah.
And so yeah, 14. Sure, we'll get there. Does it matter though? Like let's say they add another gear in 2 years. How does it matter if they do?
Really, I think all that people wanted was a bigger than 36 tooth chainring on the back. That was the biggest innovation out of the one by system. Not adding more gears, it's just like you had a big range. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it got bigger and bigger.
Well, and just adding another gear just lets you reduce the jumps between some of those gears. But that's my point. Is like, yeah, that's all fine and okay. Like I think we are at the point where like a 1052 cassette in terms of range works for like pretty much everyone,
Get stronger.
right? Well, yeah, or you can swap out to a 28
E-bike.
cog or chainring if you need to, right? Get an e-bike. So like, I don't think we need. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. I don't think we need more range because like at a certain point you're pedaling so slow you're gonna fall over, right? Like a 28 with a 52. I'd have to look up like what cadence you're moving at what speed, but you're not moving very fast if you're putting those pedals forward with a 2852,
Yeah.
right? So you can't go much like lower than that, and you can't go much high. I mean, there's no point in going all that much higher.
Well, here's
So
an idea.
It
What
doesn't
if-
get us anywhere if
what
we
if
keep
you just-
adding gear, adding at least range.
You just buy a couple front sprockets and you figure out what range you need to be in.
69 by 420 feet.
Yep. Cindy Lou Who. Classic ratio.
The best range ever.
Mega range.
Yeah.
420.
Mega range 420.
Bro.
Needs to be.
So,
I got a splinter off
well,
my
yeah,
countertop here.
my point is like buy a couple different chain rings, get stronger.
Sure. Yeah.
Tighten.
But I think we've hit the sweet spot, especially with one by stuff on mountain bikes, where I don't think it gets much beyond a 1052 for any beneficial reason.
Yeah.
So then where do they go? Obviously, SRAM went with the idea of making the direct mount, like derailleur situation, fine. Shimano has yet to update their electronic stuff to being wireless at all for the mountain bike stuff, so we could see that, but still shifts gears. Like at the end of the day, it's just shifting gears.
105 all the way.
All right, it's 9:06. Trying to keep track of our time because we went long last week and
we went
can
long.
go as long as we want. But
next thing. Next up.
We talked mullets. We talked SRAM transmission. One of the worst false innovations that I can think of in the last few years is, well, these guys are going on about bottom brackets. We could talk bottom brackets for a second, but because that's a whole thing. But,
we have a whole segment.
Is rear axle spacing.
Yes.
So you and I both know for forever mountain bikes were 135 millimeters wide when we were using quick releases. There was a period where some of those had a through axle, especially downhill bikes, whatever. And then there was like this period where downhill bikes kind of had their through axles and they were spaced at 150, right?
Yep.
And then they started making through axles in the back for mountain bikes, and basically they just took the same kind of hub idea, some of the same hub dimensions, and just went with wider on the axle for those and went 142 millimeters, right? So when mountain bikes first went to through axles on the back, that spacing was 142. Okay, seemed like an innovation. Well, I will allow that one I'll allow it as an innovation.
Yeah.
Because we totally changed how the rear wheel went into the bike at that point. And then came along someone again, the men in the office, saying we need to widen the flanges on the hub, change some of these other dimensions, and make the axle distance 148. So we gained 6 millimeters, 3 per side. Great. Fine. We're starting to broach into like, was this really necessary? It's fine, not a big deal. It happened so quickly from 142 to 148 that it got called boost, but so quickly that we almost forgot that 142 even existed.
Yeah.
So I kind of let it go. But we have an outlier in our industry right now who thinks they want to make things. They think they need to make boost super.
Like super duper?
They haven't gotten duper yet. They've definitely gotten super, and they've even gone super plus.
Plus size.
Yeah, super plus, and they've gone, I think, up to 157 millimeters wide in the rear end.
Oh no. Okay, so
these are our lovely friends at the bike with all the pivots.
So many pivots. Like 8 pivots.
Yeah.
So and just to clarify, this is the spacing of the back hub. And anytime you widen this, then you have to change the bottom bracket as well. So
you do have to change the bottom bracket because you have to have a different crank, because once you go boost, everything's fine. Well, if you're on boost, you're kind of normal, right? Boost and pre-boost, you even get along a little bit. If you have a bicycle with something called a super boost, well, you have to have a totally different crank set, and even super boost plus, and a totally super boost, semi boost. Yeah, you have to have a totally different crank and a totally different bottom bracket to accommodate that whole mess.
This is starting to sound like a Subaru enthusiast forum. Bro. Your Boost. Hey, what vape pen are you running, bro?
The Super Boost.
This is my Boost pen, dude.
I've got the Boost. I've got the Boost plus.
Whatever. It's actually candy cane and rainbow mix, bro.
Bro.
Fucking vape. So my whole thing is there was already 150 standard.
There was.
Was it the 83 millimeter bottom bracket?
Yeah.
I think it was 83 and 150. Like that had been a standard, not widely used, but like downhill bike specific.
It was the only other one that was used.
Yeah. So why didn't we just go from 135 to 150, embrace that, give it a big old warm hug, and use a standard that we already have? That's my 2 cents. And now we have three new standards
because
between companies.
There's no question that the MO of the bicycle industry is to change something a little bit and spin it out to you as something new. Sometimes that's fine. It's generally fine. Like it's never. I'm never gonna like say that it's a bad thing per se. But that's the only way they really kind of keep coming out with new stuff for us to consume every year. Every other year is a new variation on the same thing.
With that, there's benefits going to wider. I mean, this is also with wider rims, wider tires. Finally, the industry, because like,
right,
coming up, I mean, the first 10 years I was in the industry, like, it was skinny tires, and we were just like, we want wider tires.
Sure.
And so that's a big part of it, is finally brands embracing and coming stock with wider tires.
Well, and I think we have the
which is more of an innovation than anything.
I think we have obviously they're trying to spin small innovation as more than it is to sell more product. Obviously, that's how they're going to do it. But it's also sort of a little bit of just throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall to see what sticks. Yeah. And like, I think that's definitely and using, us as the consumers to, whether it's actually better or not, it's just sort of whatever we end up sort of picking up. That's what we kind of end up rolling with. And that can actually change. Like something can gain in a huge popularity for a little bit, like 27.5 until we roll back to 29. I mean, there was a period for like 1 or 2 seasons where Giant said all our bikes are going to be 27.5 and not 29. And we were like, well, that's dumb. And then they had to obviously change that because
roll it back, guys. Roll it back.
Yeah. So
with that, also the actual innovation in it is that the axles are solid, which is better for consumers because quick releases baffled people for years.
Sure.
A lot of people got it, but a lot of people didn't get it.
People didn't get it.
Some people died, maybe, from their quick releases not being on right.
Correct.
So, like, a through axle is way easier. You put it in, you thread it, or you lock it closed. That's the actual innovation. How wide it is now just turning into not an innovation when we're moving 5 millimeters wide at a time.
Yeah. I forgot about this one. Somebody brought up the M3 films or whatever. What do you think of oval chain rings?
Ooh.
So
the history, Biopace.
Flip a coin. Yeah, right. But Biopace was clocked differently and worked an entirely different way.
Bro, was it oval?
It was oval, but yes, the oval was oriented differently. And no, it's not the same. They were shooting for the same idea. Oval chain rings, if you put one on your bike and you try it and you ride it and you like it, keep it. If you don't, get rid of it, because that's pretty much how it's gone with all of my customers for years. I don't like riding with one. I have customers who love riding with them. None of these companies have been able to show like demonstrably and objectively that it's better in this way in these circumstances. You could try all you want. It hasn't happened. So oval chain rings, sure, go for it. I'm not going to say no to someone, but I'm always gonna say try.
Try
Like,
it.
It's in that range of like, because there's people who swear by them, and I'm like, you know what? There's enough people who swear by them. Maybe there's something to it, but there's enough people who are like, yeah, it's not for me. So electrical suspension. Oh,
He's a madman.
boy, he just wants. Yeah.
So, well, what's our next false innovation?
Well, he wants to talk about electrical suspension, which probably, I mean, we've seen it come and go from Cannondale and Proflex, or was it K2 at the time? Maybe it's about the same time. Yeah, we're going back, but probably
Way back.
probably the most electric operated suspension right now is Fox's Live Valve, which, I mean, are you seeing it anywhere? I don't think that there's enough. We have enough technology to justify really doing any electrical suspension on mountain bikes. And if anything that's out there right now is just, again, throwing it at the wall to see if consumers will pick it up. And if they do, then they'll keep dumping some money into the research on it. But no. Live valve, baby.
Oh. Most of what suspension. So suspension is really interesting because a lot of it is really hard to tell the consumer, the end user. Like just explaining suspension setup, and then getting people to go out and try it and play with their suspension is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
People are scared of it. They're like, there's a blue knob and a red knob. What if I break it? And like, you got to get out there and you got to wiggle the knobs and play with it. You also have to learn how to pedal a suspension
And I'm not
bike.
wiggling knobs when I'm on the trail.
I've seen you.
I'm just not.
Wasn't your nickname Knob Wiggler?
I'm only wiggling knobs before I leave. I went too far. Flight attendant. Yeah, it was meh. Yeah, exactly. Everything electric as far as mountain bike suspension so far has been meh. Nothing's been like mind-blowing, interesting, or even if it worked well, wasn't worth it.
So suspension's interesting because, yeah, they keep doing the same things and trying to put different type of lockouts on your suspension. Lockouts are great for roads and gravel. That's it. I don't use a lockout to climb because when you hit something, you just paid that $3,000 for that suspension to not move out of the way of the rock.
Right, but I think the argument can be made that electrical stuff is trying to accommodate that mentality somewhat.
If I only had a brain.
If you only had, but the brain's on the Specialized.
Yeah.
They stole it, and you can't have it now. You can't have a brain because Specialized already has it.
Yeah.
So
Trademark.
you have to go with something else.
Now, is that an acronym?
I think it is. I think it's supposed to be. I don't care.
I
make it something that doesn't need 5,000.
So this, suspension is a beast because companies are stuck trying to make things to make it easier for people to understand, but then they end up just putting lockout on it. You just lock it out. You don't like it, lock it out.
Well, yeah, and it's got to be easy to comprehend and easy to use for a large segment of bike users. And as a bicycle mechanic for over 20 years, I know for a fact that you have to accommodate the least experienced user, right? They've got to be like, you can't just like make it so it's perfect and has all of the possible adjustability in it, or ways to change it, because people are going to just ruin it, or they're going to do it wrong and all that stuff. So I don't know.
That's a tough one.
I'm not a suspension engineer. I'm not a hydraulics engineer. I don't have answers for that.
So it's a tough place, but like, there's a lot of gimmicky stuff, and I wish that there was just more put into the public relations side of suspension. Yeah.
Don't like it, lock it out.
Yeah, brother. Why do you think I'm doing a live stream podcast? Because I'm locked out. I'm living in Jason's garage.
In my shop. 38, 40 single crown. Oh boy. Need. Well, is it Cindy? Cindy's gonna learn my favorite phrase on this stuff, and that's that need is one of the biggest words in the English language. Do we need? What do we need? Need? I don't know. It's such a range. Do we need 40? Some people will benefit from 40 single crowns. Maybe. I don't know. I'm 5'8" and 155 pounds, so I have. It's not easy for me to like push a lot of modern bike suspension to its limit.
I don't know.
My
38's like.
I haven't tried a 38. I'm still on a 36. I've got to try it, but I haven't yet. So.
I mean, this is a segue to one of our innovations, which is what I want to. One thing I want to talk about is tapered head tubes.
Sure.
The whole reason we could run 40 millimeters
Sure.
is because we have a tapered head tube. Because
Yep.
otherwise you'd snap the head tube off. Tapered head tubes are an actual innovation. It's a simple, it tapers, makes a triangle all the way down to the axle.
There was a point when it had special little names, and I'm sure we could go back to the early 10s and well, a little before that probably, and go to these companies' catalogs and find out all the little names. Because I remember bikes, they always had, on the bike it would have like 1.5 at the bottom, 1.
Super tuper.
Yeah, and it always had names and stuff on it. And now like it's so normal and regular, we don't even need names for it. So,
Advanced face tube.
yeah.
So they all had, and then there was straight up 1.5, just a thick burly tube,
yeah.
right down there. And you know what that was
Lyric ran
for?
1.5 all the way through.
You know what that was for?
Real man.
It was for men
was
who would
for
let
real men.
go free ride, and some women.
Yeah, and wanted to put different kind of stickers on the side of their fork with a different sticker pack.
Yeah, big.
Because I like my fork to look unique.
Free.
We went away from it.
But tapered head tubes. I actually would ride when I rode skate parks a long time ago. You can actually watch your fork flex if you do a 180 and you land, and you see your fork flex.
Yeah, if you go to Pink Bike and watch their series on
Oh yeah,
the Huck to Flats,
yep.
even all the modern bikes with as big as they're built and everything, you can see the whole bike kind of splay out like that when it flexes. So it's all going to do it still. I think that's good. I heard, building in some of that, or accommodating that into bike design is what I think a lot of companies and designers are striving for. Because I don't think you want it to not do that. Because I think physics are still at play.
But do you think every 3 years we make it 3 millimeters bigger, and we come up with like a cool name? We use 2 fonts, put a little logo next to it.
That is what is necessary.
Yeah, and we'll call it like Superfly.
If we don't do that, then
how will the people know?
The American economy will probably come to a grinding halt. So
You heard it here.
it's on all of us to participate in dialing it up.
What's next in our innovation catalog?
I think we're good. I don't know how. I mean, we've been going for an hour
Yep.
plus. I think we can let the people go. We can bring up what we're doing next time. We can talk about bottom brackets another day because that's a whole fun conversation. I have a document.
Yeah.
I wrote it all down once upon a time. We can kind of let the people know what we're up to next week, because next week I think is going to be fun. Is next week going to be fun?
Yeah, we're going to have a guest next week, a guy who lives here in Colorado and makes his own frames in his garage. But these aren't just any frames. These are coupled aluminum carbon frames that he makes in his garage with the help of NASA engineers right here in Arvada.
Right up the road.
Yeah. So join us next week where we're going to show several of his bikes. So he started off making steel bikes. He makes aluminum, carbon bikes. He has an electric bike that'll go like 60 miles an hour.
Yep.
Don't tell anybody.
And he does know suspension engineering.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things can go to him.
So join us next week, same time, 8:15 Tuesday. And we're going to have our first guest rapping with us. It's going to be a good time.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that's going to close us out for the night.
We're good. You need to get better over the week.
Yep.
I'm hopefully not going to sound like you next week.
Nope. I'm getting over a cold.
So.
Don't worry. It's not what you think it is. Okay. Love you. Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for
you
joining us.
It's super fun to have everybody on. Let's get more on it.
Yeah, love it. Have a good night, everyone. Keep it safe. And stay innovative. Well, should we come up with an acronym for that? Stay S.
Statino.
Yeah, Statino. It even sounds
It sounds
Italian.
Italian. Statino.
Good night.
Stay innovative.